What does it really take to be a thought leader today? Join me and Alexi Panos for a deep dive conversation about the unsexy side of leadership that no one wants to hear. This isn't just about influencership or going viral or having a mass following. This is about being a true leader from the inside out. In this episode, you'll learn the importance of the tempering phase that takes place between where you are and where you want to be, why resiliency is truly the secret sauce, and why entrepreneurship isn't for everyone. This is a conversation about all the unsexy and unglamorous shit that goes into building a well-known purpose-driven movement, and it's a must listen for anyone seeking to become a thought leader. Today's episode is sponsored by my advanced digital training, Unleashed and Unapologetic, How to Become a Thought Leader and Build a Cult Following. Sign up for the training at rubyfremont.com/unleashed. Now it is time to get unsexy with Alexi Panos. Welcome to today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. I'm your host, Ruby Fremont, and I'm here as a catalyst for you, the new generation of thought leaders. Join me every week as I dive into raw and real conversations that will help you amplify your presence, influence, and impact. Hey, thought leaders, I am back with one of my favorite sisters on this planet, Alexi Panos. Alexi, welcome to today's Thought Leader.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad we're finally doing this.
I know. I feel like I've been trying to get you on for so long, but it's finally here.
It's always perfect timing. It is always perfect. Yes.
Always divine timing.
Always.
And I'm excited because it feels like every time we get together, we jam and we go deep.
Yep.
And I'm expecting some of that depth here today.
Oh yeah, we'll go there because we both can go there. So let's go there.
Let's go there. Let's just dive right in. You've been doing this work for so long, and I think that you have an incredible audience, and you've built such a phenomenal platform for yourself, for your voice, for your message. And I know that it's easy for people on the outside looking in to say, wow, look at all that shit that she's got and she's built. Look at all her followers.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this since what, 2014, 13?
Yeah. So full time for the last 5.5, 6 years.
Right.
But truthfully, like part time, along with 7 other jobs that I was doing to support this, really since like 2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so much has changed in the online space since then, right?
Oh yeah. That's like, I started and like MySpace was still like considered online dating, which was, that gives you a little context because I said MySpace and online dating at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, like I literally started life coaching when people were like, well, what the hell is a life coach? Is that like a soccer coach? And I'm like, yeah, but for your life. But no, like, I don't really get it. And I'm like, okay. So I was kind of like that weird person that people kind of wanted to be around because I had really interesting things to say and like really interesting insight, but they also didn't want to be around because they're like, she's going to tell me about myself and maybe I don't want to hear that. And so maybe we should put her over there right now. But now it's such a like trendy thing. And I feel like there's a blessing and a curse to that, right? It's awesome that so many people are waking up and there's this need for people to really start investigating themselves and saying like, who am I? Why am I here? But it's also created this whole lane of people coming into the work that aren't actually embodying the work and aren't taking it seriously, you know?
Yeah. I've been talking about this a lot this week. It's really funny how the personal development industry is a drug within itself, right? 100%. People come in and they get the quote unquote hits, which deliver the same effects of dopamine because it literally, you get the hits of dopamine through like, you have a breakthrough.
Yeah. Yes.
Hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
You conquered a fear. Yes.
Yes.
Hit of
Winning.
Dopamine. Yes. I just broke through an upper limit. Yes.
Yeah.
And constant dopamine hits and people become addicted to it. And they want to go to the next thing and the next thing and the next workshop, and the next program and the next offer and the next coach and the next mentor without like really taking the time to integrate and embody what they've learned. And I feel like now we're really starting to see that, where people are kind of crashing and burning. People are finding themselves back in that cycle of where they first began, and then wondering, whoa, how'd I get here?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what it is like, it's people's addiction to consumerism. And like, I've made this connection for myself because I totally used to do this. Like, I was a consumer of personal development and spirituality and psychology and all of that, to the extent where the same consumeristic behaviors we see in shopping and food and throwaway items, like where it's just more, it's not enough, was the same thing I was noticing in my connection to personal development. It's like more, it's not enough. I'm not enough yet. Right. And I think that's the correlation, is like, are you in it because you're leaning into what mastery looks like and you've integrated the last piece, and now you're going, okay, now what's next? Now that I'm here at this particular point, what's my next edge? Or is it just you want more information to feed the spiritual ego and not actually fucking embody it in your life and be the example of it? And I think a lot of people are finding out that maybe they don't have as much embodied as they thought they did.
Yeah. And that's where the real work lies. Right. And that's where it's hard. And I get it. Like, I feel like we're both visionaries, and we see how we want things to go. And so it's really easy to get caught up in that and say, well, I want to go create that immediately and experience it right now.
Yeah.
But perhaps there's like all this shit you have to do between here and there to actually create that in a way that is, emotionally, spiritually, and physically sustainable.
100%. And that's the thing I think a lot of people don't get, is they want to get from point A to point B with the least amount of resistance as possible, the least amount of stretching and struggle. I don't want to use the word struggle, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's got to be that push pull. And what I love to remind my students of, and people who come into my vortex, is that's what makes you. It's that exact space in between point A and point B that actually makes you the person that can hold point B, that can be there and be like, yes, okay, this feels aligned. This is embodied. I can contain this. I can sustain this. And it's really about falling in love with that journey in between the 2 points and going like, ooh, that's where my edge is. That's where I expand. That's when I discover. That's when I emerge. And that space in between is actually like, that's the win, right? Is that you actually get to be in the game and find your level of mastery through that.
Yeah. I love that. The space between point A and point B. And, it's just that it's definitely this addiction to consumerism, and definitely also the addiction to momentum, because we live in a really fast-paced society, right?
Oh my gosh, yes.
And our attention spans are literally shrinking with each generation, because we have more gadgets, more tools, we have more opportunities for instant gratification. And that's what people want, is the instant gratification. I want to get this now. I want to feel this now. I want to experience this transformation now. And somehow bypass stretching
all of life
and the expansion and like the tough shit that we need to go through. And I mean, it's just what's interesting to me is, at this stage in my life, I can look back at everything that I've been through, and I'm so grateful for the areas of my life where I was kind of forced to stretch. And if anyone listening too, if you look back to all those times where you're between point A and point B, there is a lot of gratitude that we can feel, because these are the things that shape us, as Alexi said. I mean, I don't even know what would happen to our evolution if we were to just like somehow teleport from point A to point B. Like, no one would fucking grow.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be fun. Like, I think about that. Like, I think about that genuinely. And I'm like, if life was like actually really easy, I think I would be bored out of my fucking mind.
Totally.
It's like, we like the struggle. We like challenge. Like, all of nature loves a challenge. It's built for it. If you look at even a plant, a seed, it's got to like first break through the shell of that seed, which is like the point of the most resistance. And then you think you're done, but you're not. Now you got to make your way through this dark soil and like find your way out to the sun. And then you think you're done, but you're not. Then it's like the birds and the bees and the elements and all the things for you to grow into your fullest potential. It's like nature needs that. And it's like the tempering phase. And when I found out about the caterpillar turning into the butterfly, caterpillars need the point where they break out of the cocoon because it tempers their wings. They actually can't fly if somebody like opens up the cocoon for them. They need that struggle in order to fully emerge. And we are no different, like, who do we think we are that we're separate from nature? Like, we are the same. We need the struggle, and the struggle is what keeps us alive. It keeps us vibrant. And there's that study that they say, the minute people retire, within 5 years, 80% of people who retire who don't have a job or a vision or something to go after, they die.
Right.
Why? Because there's no struggle anymore. Life is too easy. There's nothing to do. So it's like, embrace the struggle. Like, yes, like, this is what's going to make me, and this is making me into the realest part of me and aligning me into my deepest self, just like chipping away at all the things.
Yeah.
So good.
It's so good. And it's just this negative connotation that we have attached to the word struggle, where, all the love and light people might disagree with me. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, the struggle is part of the journey. The struggle is part of our growth. The struggle is an essential piece to our transformation. And evolution.
Even think about, I gave birth a year ago now.
Right.
And it is a struggle to bring a child into this earth.
What do you mean? It wasn't just a breeze to pop a baby out of your vagina?
I didn't just squat down and he didn't just fall out of my vagina. There was a little bit more to it than that. Just a tad. And here's the thing, like, yes, it can be orgasmic. Yes, it can be all the things, but there is tension. And that's my point, right? Like, the tension makes it worth it. It makes it so juicy at the end, where it's like, and then, you raise a child and there's so much tension along that process as well. And it's like, but it makes it all so freaking juicy. And it's like, why are we avoiding tension? Why are we avoiding what we call negative? That's the antithesis of love and light. Like, love and light all day, like, fucking boring. I'm sorry. Like, I like the darkness, and I like the struggle, and I like the contrast. And I know you do too. It's like, because that gives us a moment to really appreciate and honor the love and light when it does show up.
Yeah. And it gives us a moment to lean into our resiliency and our determination and our will, which we often like forget is there. And
totally.
It provides like an opportunity to lean into that again, lean into our courage, lean into our bravery. Oh, look, I'm super brave. I totally forgot about that. And it's just like this awesome flow. And I think that, I don't know about you, but I feel like part of this denial or resistance to our shadows and to struggle and to the hardships is social media and being in the social media generation, because of what people choose to portray online, right? People choose to portray like the good, the perfect pictures, the perfect pose, like here's this. And we start to become accustomed to seeing this as like, this is life. Yeah. And so when we feel differently, when we feel a different way, we're like, well, fuck, this is not, no, I'm just going to deny this. And I'm going to force myself to make a smile and like take a picture and be all these good things and like jump to point B and achieve this and achieve that and go back into doing, and we forget about being. Totally.
And the thing is like, that could be impressive to whoever's watching you online. But the truth is, if that is you, and that's been me at points, like, it's like an inner death to your soul, right? Because your soul's like, bitch, you are not fooling anybody. Like, let's be honest. We know that things are out of alignment. We know that things aren't feeling right. And the truth is, those moments, like, to me, emotions are signals, and they're telling us, hey, something's off. Something needs to be checked in on. Something needs to be recalibrated. It's like, a headache. When we get a headache, that's our body's signal to go, hey, you're probably dehydrated. Right. And what do most people do? Pop an aspirin. I don't want to feel it. Right. And that's like a metaphor for our fucking lives versus just going to the source of the issue, which is dehydration. There's a solution. We just want to avoid it because we think it's more painful to be in the solution than to just like swipe over it and hope it goes away. Yeah. Yeah. And that's an amazing example for everyone to relate to. And as
quote unquote influencers, thought leaders, coaches, we're putting ourselves out there in this way. And there is so much that we don't share. And I feel like, because we're very similar.
Yeah.
To all our listeners, Alexi and I have already uncovered that we're pretty fucking in a lot of different ways, mostly the Virgoistic ways. But, there's so much that we don't share online, and it's not because we're trying to avoid it. It's just we're conscious with our time online, and we're conscious with our personal lives. And there's just so much, like, how do you capture it all?
Yeah.
And there's like a ton of shit that happens behind the scenes. And I know that we both strive to show up as transparently as possible. And there's been a lot of times when I've seen you write posts where it's like, oh, like that is really heartfelt and this needed to be said and people need to see this, because there's this whole other life that happens off screen that people don't see.
Yeah. Yeah. And the truth is, all of us are cherry picking. All of us are cherry picking. Yeah. What are we going to share? What's it going to mean for our tribe? Like, will it make an impact? And I think, I'm very conscious of whatever I share, whether it be a breakdown or a breakthrough or an amazing insight or something I'm currently struggling with. I want to make sure it's serving. I want to make sure that it is providing an opportunity for either people to see themselves in what I'm being with, or see the opportunity they have that I didn't once see that I had. And while also saying that, I also don't want to live my life entirely online. Like, I love my privacy. I love spending time with my son without a cell phone in my pocket or even in close proximity of me. Like, I am so aware that we live in such a connected world where there's this expectation for us to respond to every notification that comes in, for us to be available at every time, for us to post and share all the things. And I'm sorry, but like, I don't want to give my life over to that. Like, yes, that is a part of my life, but to me, what's happening in my real life, what's present, what's here, this is the most important thing to me. And I'm not going to lose that or lose my connection to that for a digital space. It's just not. Like, I'm very clear about that.
Yeah, it's a powerful and important boundary to have, especially in the work that we do. Otherwise, it's super easy to get consumed by social media.
100%. And even like, especially in the work that we do, because we're like influencers, right? Like, quote unquote influencers. People look to us for influence. Perfect. And that is a drug. The fact that people look to us and go, oh my God, I love what you just shared. And, whether you're an influencer or not, like, every comment, like, they've done studies on this. It is that same hit of dopamine. It is a drug. We are so addicted and we don't know it. And just as much as like we talk about like, oh, haters and da 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 da, and like, don't pay attention to the haters, but we kind of also don't need to pay attention to the lovers and the likers and the commenters as well, because that's equally as damaging, because it's both ego. It's both ego. It's like, one is killing our ego because somebody's giving us feedback that maybe we don't want to hear or being critical. And the other is giving us feedback that is feeding our ego addiction to more, more. So it's both equally damaging. And I think we really need to stand as the objective sharer in that space and really be aware of how we're consuming and why we're consuming and how often we're checking in for it.
Yeah. How we're consuming and why we're consuming. That's super important. And it's, something that I tell a lot of the people that I work with is, you're sharing your message to get your message out there, not sharing the message for validation through likes, or yes, it's great to be polarizing, but don't be polarizing for the sake of being polarizing. If your opinion is polarizing, great, but don't try and force like something to be something and it's not. It's just, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think so many people now are looking for the hack. Like, how do I get the followers? How do I get the views? How do I get the viral video? It's so funny when people come to me, they're like, my intention is to create a viral video. And I'm like, that should not be your intention. Your intention should be to create a really awesome piece of content that if the consumer thinks it's awesome, they'll share it. And then more people will do the same thing. And it's this thing. And I don't know if you've had business clients, but I've had business clients, like after a week of doing maybe like 3 lives in a week, like it's not working.
Right.
I only got 50 views on my live. I'm like, first of all, picture yourself in the room you're in right now.
Yeah.
Then picture 50 people standing there going, oh, tell me more. I'd like to know what you have to say. Do you know how awesome that is and what an honor that is to have 50 people's time and attention to hear your message? How dare you go, it's not working? In a week, especially, right? Like it took me years of just serve, give, not for any result, but just because I had a message on my heart that I had to find a way to express. And social media just happened to be the best way to do it at that time. And it's just so interesting that now it has unfortunately become about the validation through numbers and shares and likes and comments and all of those things.
Yeah. Which brings me to something else that we were talking about before I hit record, which was the idea of this unglamorous side of thought leadership, which, you know, we both dance around in. It's not necessarily always out there, but there's this glamorous side, because let's face it, the stuff online always feels glamorous, no matter how you dress it up or position it, but there's always this sort of like glamorous edge to it. And which leads people to say things like, oh yeah, my purpose is to create a viral video.
Right.
Okay.
No.
But there's this whole other side. So talk to us a bit about this unglamorous side.
Yeah. And you know, it's the unsexy shit that nobody wants to hear.
Let's drop into that right
now. It's literally like people are like, I want to be a coach. I want to be a consultant. I want to be a facilitator. I want to speak on stages. I want to make content. I'm like, great. Are you willing to work 400% more than you think you have to work right now? Are you willing to stay up late and get up early? Are you willing to comment back on every single person that's reaching out to you and genuinely give a fuck about connecting with them? Are you willing to figure out how to edit videos, how to edit podcasts, how to upload all of it? Because if you don't have the money to outsource this, guess who's doing it? You're doing all of it, right? At least for the first few years. And I say this, like anybody who comes to me for like business coaching, I legit give them the worst case scenario. And I'm like, are you still interested? Like, cause if you're not after all of that, then it's not for you. And I do truthfully believe that some people are not built for entrepreneurship. I truthfully believe that some people do not have, not necessarily what it takes, but they don't have the resilience required for being an entrepreneur and the relationship with risk that's required in being an entrepreneur. Because the other unglamorous side that a lot of people don't talk about, especially the people who are marketing how much they make, like, hear me, because I'm about to fucking blow the lid on this shit. The people that are like, I made $20,000 last month doing this system and you can learn how to do it too. Or I made 7 figures last year, blah, 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 blah. And you can too. Well, guess what? They're not talking about how much they actually took home. They're not talking about how much it cost to get to 7 figures or $20,000 a month. Because the truth is, most entrepreneurs may make, let's say, $20,000 a month for an easy figure. What you don't know is it most likely costs them anywhere from $15,000 to $19,999 to get to $20,000 a month. So they're essentially breaking even. And nobody is fucking talking about real numbers. They're talking vanity numbers. And all of that is great because, yes, as an entrepreneur, you can write off a lot of stuff. However, the struggle is real. And I say that because you gotta fucking love the work. And if you don't love the work, I guarantee you in a year, you're going to give up on it and it'll be something else. And it'll be, oh, it didn't work for me. No, the truth is you didn't love the work enough for it to work for you. And that's what most people don't want to hear. And it's the honest, ugly truth of being an entrepreneur, especially in this industry.
It really is. And it's so easy to believe the numbers that people are putting out there because it's literally everywhere. I mean, I cannot get on Facebook and not see a post like that.
Yeah.
Everyone is so money driven and money hungry and all these false promises on how to do this. I mean, first of all, there's also people out there who are like, hey, I can help you earn 10K months. And they earn the 10K months through teaching you how to do it.
Don't even get me started on
that. And then there's like the ones who don't talk about like, our income fluctuates.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
You can have a 20K month, amazing. And
Yeah.
then for the next 6 months, make like 2K.
Yep. Which maybe covers all your expenses.
Maybe.
If you're just starting out and you don't have a lot of people to pay.
Right. And this is the shit that no one talks about. And it's so much, it has everything to do with resiliency, first of all, and everything to do with your willingness, right? Do you have the will to do this day in and day out and not give up when you have crickets on your post, and not give up when you don't fully enroll your program or sell your services or get those speaking gigs that you were counting on? Like, what do you do in those moments? Because those are the moments that define you as an entrepreneur, as a thought leader. Like, those are the moments.
Yeah.
And it's those who continue to push forward for the sake of their message and for the sake of what they're here to do.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who will ultimately succeed.
100%. And that is the thing that nobody talks about, but that is the secret sauce. Like, if you're spending more time in your marketing of your message than you are in actually refining and sharpening the tool of what your message is about, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked, because here's the thing. You can get a bunch of people coming to you like, yay, I saw your Facebook ad, or I saw that post you did and it was amazing. But if you're not the embodiment of the work, you got one shot to make a first impression. And people, especially online now, they're talking and word gets around fast. So the worst thing you could do, in my opinion, is the whole fake it till you make it thing.
Yes.
Like, don't fake it. Just get support and work on the areas where you need support. It's that easy. It doesn't have to be hard. It's just find somebody who's done the thing really well that you get to lean into, that's an edge for you, and work with them. Offer value to them. Do an exchange with them, or pay them for their time. Like, figure a way, make a way out of no way. Like, hands down.
And there's such a big difference between fake it till you make it and true embodiment.
Totally.
You know, there's such a big difference between like actually stepping into the identity of who you're striving to be and doing that now versus like, oh, let me just pretend and fake it.
Totally. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect, right? Like, I think that's the distinction. We don't want people to go, oh, well, I'm not there yet.
Right.
It's fine. Just be where you are and be honest about it. Like, the worst thing is, and I know you've seen this and we talked about this, like the person who's online, like, yeah, you know, I'm da 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 da, and I do this, and like, here's a picture of me on a jet, and meanwhile, like, that's not your fucking jet. Like, you were hired as a videographer on that shoot to shoot somebody on their jet. Like, I actually know somebody who posts pictures on their Instagram from this jet shoot that they were the photographer / videographer for, and act like it's their fucking jet. Stop.
Well, there is now a company in Russia.
I heard. Oh my God, I heard.
Okay, let's tell our listeners. There's a company in Russia that sets up photo shoots in jets, and people pay for these photo shoots so they can go into the jet, they get their hair and makeup done, then they sit in the jet, and it's like, take pictures, and then they push it. Like, it's crazy.
I cannot even.
There's all sorts of ways to manipulate your quote unquote audience into thinking you're a certain way, but ultimately, is that fulfilling? No.
Yes.
The most fulfilling piece is when you can actually be your message and be everything that you take a stand for. I'm curious because I know the word embodiment is thrown around so much, right? Yeah. But I would love to hear how you describe embodiment.
So it depends on the context of which we're speaking, but a general definition is you are what you say you are. Your beingness expresses who you are without you having to say anything. It's like, based on results of how I feel around you, I already know who you be. I don't have to tell, hey, Ruby, here's who I am. You can trust me. I'm trustworthy. I'm this person. I don't have to do any of that. Just based on my way of being, you get that from me.
Yeah.
Embodiment doesn't have to work so hard. It doesn't have to convince. It doesn't have to prove. It doesn't have to try. It just isness. It's the truth of where I'm at in this moment. Now, when it comes to coaching and facilitating and consulting and all of that, thought leaders in the work, it's being the person in like here without having to say anything that you say your work is. So this is the huge dissonance right now in our industry, is that there's a lot of people who read a couple great books or listen to a couple great podcasts, or, you know, are in conversations with people and writing notes and getting all these little like, quotable moments.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're making a video about it, or they're, you know, talking about it on stage, or they're coaching somebody through it, but they've never actually lived it. They've never actually tried it on multiple times, enough so where they can go, not there, not there. There. Yep, there it is. That's it. And that takes work. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes years. And in a world like today's world, most people don't want to wait. They want it now. Yep. And that's why there's such a gap right now. But here's the beautiful thing about this. The opportunity is those of us in the space who can drop in, who can be embodied with where we're at and be honest and transparent about where we're at and what we're going through and what our next edge is, people can feel it. Mm-hmm. They can feel it. And it separates, like cream rises to the top, and people go, oh, there's such a difference from that person to that person. And I don't know what it is. Maybe they don't even know the word embodiment, but something feels off when I go over here. Mm-hmm. Something feels hell yes when I go over here. Yeah. And that's our opportunity. The more real you are, to me, the more magnetic you are. And then we get to be ourselves too. Mm-hmm. Win-win.
I know. And I love that you say real and magnetic, because with the amount of bullshit that there is online, like, let's be real, there's a lot of bullshit.
A lot.
The stuff that actually penetrates and pierces through people's hearts is the realness. Yeah. It is the people who are truly embodying their message and truly being and living from that space. And that in itself is fucking hard. Yeah. I mean, that in itself is very unglamorous. Like if I had a video strapped, could you imagine if we had helmet cams like strapped to us every day and just recording us in like a month? I mean, the amount of breakdowns that I go through and the edges that I push myself up against, all for the sake of being my message.
Yeah. And being your word.
Yes.
Like being your fucking word. Yes. and that is like I was saying this distinction in our workshop the other day, honest and honor. Like we don't really hear the word honor anymore, because it's like people don't even know what that is because we don't live it. Right. Honor at its core is about being honest with where you're at. And that makes you a person of honor, where someone can go, you know, I can honor you. I can feel you. I can trust you. I can be inspired by you, even though it's not perfect, even though it's messy, even though it's maybe falling apart at the edges, it's real. Mm-hmm. And that realness, there's a sense of honor in that. And I think you're absolutely right. Like the amount of shit that people go through, I go through, you go through, other leaders in the space go through, in order to keep their word and to be in honor with their work is so beautiful. And it would shock a lot of people. Like, it would shock them.
It really, like that, you know, saying no to things, dropping things for the sake of your health, letting go of things that no longer work, or align with you, but technically they're working. And so it's like saying no to money.
Yes.
So there's just so much that happens that people don't see, but it's for the sake of, you know, I would say it's for the sake of integrity. If I can't be integral with myself, if I can't be a woman of my own word and be the fullest expression of everything that I teach and everything that I'm, you know, sharing in the world, then what the fuck am I doing? Like,
Exactly. Because you could be impressing a lot of people, right? But at the end of the day, it's an empty hole that will never get filled because you've never done the work to fill it yourself.
Right.
And no matter how many likes you get, no matter how much money you make or approval you're getting from people no matter what externally happens, if you can show up and be your word and be in the work, and you know you're a person of honor and integrity, you won. You won the fucking game. No matter what happens out here, you won. And to me, that's, again, the secret sauce. It's so simple, yet not a lot of people do it because it takes work.
Yes. 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 I mean, it's, and I think that's the point that we're both trying to collectively make here, is we didn't just magically get to this point and ta-da, here we are. And then once you get to a certain point or a certain stage in your growth or as a leader, it's not just like, ta-da, here I am. Like there's always this growth, and there's always these edges that we are consistently pushing ourselves up against. And that's what separates us from what I just truly call out and say wannabe leaders. Yeah. And let's be real, like everyone in this world is an influencer because we influence everyone around us, right?
100%.
But not all influencers online, if we're talking about the online space, are leaders. Yeah, all leaders are influencers. So it's really begins with how you lead your own life and how you embody that. So for those listeners who are tuned in to this, we haven't scared them off so far.
Yeah, if you guys are still here,
if you're still here, so there definitely are people, right? They're definitely like, like, okay, I get it. It's going to be tough, but I'm committed.
Yes.
Like, what are some of, let's say, like your top 3 pieces of advice for them to do this in a way where they are fully in embodiment with their message and representing who they truly are?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest that has shifted everything for me personally is this idea that we can reframe opposition into opportunity. And I think being a recovering perfectionist, I really tried to like control and find all the ways that I could make myself as safe as possible while going towards the big mountain, right? It's like,
I don't know that at all.
Yeah, I've never been there. I don't know what you're talking about.
I get what you're saying.
And I literally, like, looking back, I'm like, holy shit, I try to control everything.
Yeah.
And now reframing it and going, ooh, like those moments of opposition, those moments of resistance, of struggle are really what make me a better leader. They make me a better facilitator. They have the truth of me emerge from such a deeper space than this ego-controlled paradigm. So just shifting how you relate to opposition, I think is really powerful, because it's not like you go out and look for it, but you kind of do. Like you welcome it, you expect it. You're like, yeah, bring it on. I like the challenge. I like where this is going to take me, and who knows where it's going to take me, but I know it's going to challenge me. And that challenge will push me past my comfort zone and take me to a place that I didn't know I was capable of going. So that would be number 1. I think number 2 would be this idea that you've already won. And this like really like penny dropped for me when I had my son. And, you know, I had understood the concept of like, you've already arrived, like you have everything you need. Like we've heard it in all the ancient philosophies, and I understood the concept, but it didn't actually land for me until my son arrived and I saw how he interacted with the world. He's already won. There's no place to get to. There's no anything to achieve or prove or whatever. It's just being present with what is here, being present with breath, being present with desire, being present with the stretch of the moment, the challenge of the moment. And that idea of like, you've already won takes away all the conversation of like, I have to, or it needs to be this, or the expectation of this. It's like, I've already won. I've got breath in my body. I've got a beat in my heart. I've got, you know, legs and arms, and like, I can do cool shit. I have this thing called the internet where I can reach people. I have won 1,000 times over. Now, what do I want to do with that is the question. And then we tap into our desire, and we tap into like, how do I want to be stretched? So the idea of you've already arrived, you're already fucking there. Now, how can you stretch and lean into that and play with that and expand what's already here?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, and then I think the third thing is like community. Like oh my God, I did not value community at all at one point, like total lone wolf, like hunkering down in front of my computer for hours on end and being like, community is not important right now. I've got stuff to do, you know, and recognizing what a limitation that was for myself. Because the truth is, and I know you know this, the minute you get around other people who are up to extraordinary things and have similar passions and are holding themselves to integrity and honor and higher standards in life, it just elevates your game, you know, and it's fun. It's fun to be around people who are exploring big ideas and exploring big visions and impact and how do we change our world. And like that shit lights me up. And being, that's why I love spending time with you and like all of our other sisters that we have. And it's like, and our guys, like we have such an amazing community of people that are just holding themselves in a different way. And it has called me forward. It has called me to play a bigger game. It has challenged and questioned my upper limits and like how much I can earn and how much I can, you know, really make a dent on a particular issue I'm passionate about. And it's just, it's blown the roof open on everything. And I think, you know, I was just having lunch with a friend of mine. She's in town from New York and she's a fucking boss. Like she's got a real estate business and she has a transformational center to train youth in personal development. And she's got a nonprofit in India. She's just like doing all the things, right? She's starting a CBD oil company. And she's like, you know, I thought I was like playing big. And she's Dominican. So she's like a little Spanish spitfire. She's like, I thought I was playing big. Then I go down to Nueva Vallarta in Mexico. And there's this guy who's building the biggest resort in the world. And I looked at his vision and I'm like, damn, you need to step it up, girl. And like all she needed was one person to give her permission to dream even bigger. You know, it's like, that's what we do for one another. So community is so important.
Yeah. Community helps, we help each other unlock so much more than perhaps we were able to do on our own.
Totally.
It's really beautiful.
Like we activate each other.
Yes.
You know,
yes. We feed off each other. We activate each other. Yeah. I love that. What amazing tips. Recap: opposition equals opportunity, people. You've already won. I think that is such a beautiful, beautiful reminder. And community. Yes. Yes. I love that. We're nearing the end of this episode. Time flies when you're having fun and diving deep.
Damn, that went so quick.
Super quick. Why don't you tell our listeners how they can stalk you online, and then I'll have everything in the show notes.
Yeah, so basically Alexi Panos everywhere, at Alexi Panos, alexipanos.com, Facebook Alexi Panos, YouTube Alexi Panos, Instagram Alexi Panos. I tend to hang out most on Instagram, so that's my jam. Find me on there first.
Awesome. Yeah. Any last nugget that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, you are it. You are already her. You are already him. Like the person you think you're stepping into, the woman or man that you're aspiring to step into is already here. It's already you. It's just the question of what needs to unlock for that to emerge.
Love that. Yes. Alexi, thank you so much for spending time with me and our amazing thought leaders today. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I love you so much, and thank you for doing this work. I just love you so much, girl, and you are just such a rock star, and I love how you show up and be in the world.
I love you, and I love our listeners. I want to say thank you for joining us on today's episode of today's Thought Leader, where we're challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. If you have any questions for me or Alexi about today's episode, please hit us up online on our social media channels. We'd love to hear from you, and be sure to drop a rating and review on iTunes and share this episode with a friend. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alexi. And I'll see you all back here this Thursday for a new episode of Today's Thought Leader.